Hi, it's Mark here. Today I want to talk to you about looking at and changing and transforming the sabotaging patterns that you have. Now these patterns are the ones that you're already very aware of. So you know that you do a certain thing and you do it over and over again and you can't seem to change that pattern. Now here's the thing with motivation. It's really dependent upon your emotions. So if you're in a great emotional space, then it's much easier to be motivated. You can get up and say, I'm going to kill this, I'm going to overcome this, I'm going to go and get and do and create and act. But when you wake up in a different space emotionally, it's much more difficult to motivate yourself. So we can't rely on motivation to change these patterns. Otherwise you'd have changed so many times already. But the fact is that quite often you'll find that most people come back and realize they're still in this same place, that in certain areas that just can't seem to overcome. So what I want to teach you today is how to have an absolute way of transforming a sabotaging pattern that's been stopping you. So to start with, I need to talk about a fundamental truth. Now, according to Carl Jung, when the sperm hits the egg, the moment of conception, the deep psyche or the deep unconscious pattern is born. And it's not only born, it's the same size then as it is now as an adult. Which means a lot of the patterns within the personality you came here with. Now that's not to say that you don't gain more patterns or behavioral structures through the social upbringing, through your parents, etc., etc. Yes, of course you do, but you do come here with some ingrained patterns, some inherent patterns that are already there, they're always there. Now, you might ask, why would I come with a limited pattern that is sabotaging me again and again? Well, you see, if everything was hunky-dory in your life, you might not find or have the impetus to go and look for a way to change. Now, it's in that way of that questioning and trying to overcome a limitation that you find your natural talents, and that's the purpose of the limitation. So you come with the limitation, and what happens is, through that avoidance of the insecurity, what you do is you develop great talents, natural talents, to avoid the insecurity that's within you. And that's the whole purpose of having the insecurity, or what you could say is the sabotaging pattern. Now, as an adult, once you've gained these skills, once you've become natural at the skills that you've developed by avoiding that insecurity or by overcoming that insecurity, you still want to bring the insecurity into balance. Otherwise, it'll keep coming and biting you. You'll keep finding yourself in situations where you're doing a similar pattern again and again, and you know that life would be better if you didn't do it, but you can't just seem to get beyond it. So here's the trick, here's the tool of how to get beyond that pattern. Once you understand what your sabotaging pattern is, it's very, very simple. So, you see, up until now what you've probably done is looked at that sabotaging pattern and judged it harshly and wished it wasn't part of you, and wished you could overcome it, wished you could kill it, wish you could get past it. But you see, so there's been no love or reverence of the pattern. When in actual fact, if you look at it from a different viewpoint, you can see now that that pattern has come, that insecurity or that limitation was specifically there to help you gain great skills. Now if you look, you'll see that, oh yes, because of that insecurity, I've now realized and found something greater in my life. Not only have I realized and found it, I've actually developed talents and abilities and greatness because I've tried to overcome that insecurity. So actually it was an angel in disguise. Now here's the way to balance the pattern, because you're not going to get rid of the pattern. It's part of you. It's just a flip side of the duality of your nature. But as long as you're in judgment of it, it will keep coming up occasionally and sabotage you. So you need to take the judgment off the pattern. The desire to get rid of it has to come off, and the way you do that is you start revering the pattern. You look and say, what is great about my life? Who have I become that is really great because I've got this pattern within me? What aspects of my life, what talents have I developed? What type of my personality that is great have I mastered because I've tried to overcome that pattern? So I'll give you an example, for a big example for many people. If they're not valuing themselves, what they do is they develop a kind and giving personality because they want other people to value and respect them. Now, you might feel, well, that's a con, but it's not, because you do this naturally. It's helping you develop that natural part of you that is actually giving and helping. But the flip side of that, of course, if you do too much of that, what happens is that you end up allowing people to walk on you, or you can't say no when you need to. You don't have healthy boundaries in that area. So obviously bringing this pattern into balance by looking at the insecurity and realizing, oh yeah, I've developed great talents in the area of assisting others, serving others, being kind to others. This is an example, of course. Now when you revere that, you write down at least 5 great things about that perceived insecurity. What happens is you bring it into balance, you start to love it, and everything in your outside changes. And you're then, in this particular example, able to say no easily because you're not fighting that insecurity inside. So it's as simple as that. You look, you see the sabotaging pattern, and you find out what's great about it. You write it down, sit and think, what is great about me because of that pattern? The answer is never nothing. You're on the wrong track if you think, oh, there's nothing great about me because of this. I hate it. You're still stuck in the old way if you're thinking that way. So you've got to come from a place of reverence and love. And then you'll see, once you do it authentically from inside, once you really understand that this pattern has been your greatest ally, then the whole thing will change. Okay, wishing you a fantastic day whenever you're watching this, and I look forward to talking to you again next time. Thank you.